Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is a Rolex Certified Pre-Owned Oyster Perpetual Sky-Dweller. But back in 2023, Rolex quietly rolled out a second generation of its unique annual calendar GMT that first launched in Basel in 2012. So this is the second generation reference 336239 in white gold. And the watch is 42 millimeters in diameter by 13.9 millimeters thick, lug tip to lug tip. It's 50.4 millimeters across the wrist, and it has a 22 millimeter spacing in between its lugs. So we'll throw this watch on my wrist now. Of course, the watch is made of gray gold, and we'll talk about why that's gray and not white in a moment. I'm taking my glove off just so you can see my wrist, which was erstwhile obscured. Taking a quick look, you can see the watch is large. It has the appearance of a large Datejust in terms of proportions and details. I would also say that back in 2020, when the Oysterflex strap bracelet became available, it also changed the aesthetic of the watch, making it a bit sportier. So you could see the Oysterflex offers quite a bit of adaptation to a wrist that's on the smaller side. I actually think you could wear this watch on a wrist that's 15 centimeters circumference, and I'll show you why that is. A lot of it's down to the Oysterflex, but you can see where the edges of the case are. There's your down the barrel shot. Here's your over the top, which always exaggerates the width of the watch, and then your cuff shot. You can imagine that with a sloped flank, it will fit underneath most sleeves and certainly all jacket cuffs. Okay, we're going to put my glove back on my left hand now to make sure everything stays brand standard. And we're going to take a look at that Oysterflex. Now, here's the thing. We have this little insert under the bezel to make sure that there's no gap between the Oysterflex and the case. So that's an aesthetic insert. And then we've got this sort of tapering and molding to make it look a little bit more like an oyster bracelet. But when you get underneath, you realize that there's a bellows system that's designed to ensure a robust adherence to a wrist and take up a little bit of the excess length if the fit isn't quite perfect, because this is actually a bracelet. They call it a bracelet because it's got a metal band inside made of titanium and nickel, and thus it can't be cut. So while it's sheathed in rubber, and it is properly named the Oysterflex, you cannot cut it. So there's several different lengths available. We can help you out with that, but to make sure that this will help adapt whatever size you have to your wrist, you get that little elastic bellows system on the inside, which also helps to fit and lets your wrist breathe. Taking a quick look, we've got a clasp that is made of gray gold, just like the watch. Gray gold is a white gold that never needs to be rhodium plated. It's the good stuff. It's the premium stuff. It's what the best brands use, and it's white all the way through. Taking a quick look at the clasp, we do have a version of the dive watch glide lock system. So this is a 2.5 millimeter incremental adjustment over a 15 millimeter range. So along with the bellows, the various different strap sizes or bracelet sizes that can be fit, and the glide lock here, we've got quite a bit of adjustability. And then we've got a system with a articulated spring-loaded beacon hook. So that's the beak, that's the hook. These things snap together and provide relief from accidental deployment. You have to lift it to unlatch it. You can see the raised and relieved 5-point cornet, a medley of polish and satin rolling around the case now. You can see it's got an oyster-style solid case back. We have a twin lock crown in gold. You know that because there's two dots. That means it is a twin lock and it is in gold. Screw down crown, 100 meter water resistance. You can see we've got a fluted bezel, which always indicates the presence of at least the bezel in precious metal on a Rolex watch. But in this instance, it's also part of the movement. It's called ring command, and I'll show you how this works now. Taking a look at the dial, let's get used to its geography and features before we talk about the function of the watch. So we've got this 24-hour reference ring that runs along the center, and then we have apertures outboard of each month. So 12 hours, 12 months. That's how it tells calendar time. You have the 24 and the 12-hour time zones that can be set independently. Here you can see we're looking at the 8th hour, which is the 8th month, which is August 31st. So that's how that works. Inside, we have a new caliber 9002, which is a subtle evolution of the old 9001. So it uses the Saros wheel-based annual calendar system that only needs to be corrected once a year during the jump from February to March. It has hacking seconds, the ring command bezel, a bidirectional quick set for the calendar system. Has the 2 independent time zones, a 4 Hz beat rate, 40 pivot joules, 72-hour power reserve, a rotor that winds bidirectionally on ball bearings. It has a free sprung balance with a full balance bridge for shock resistance, an overcoil hairspring so that the watch will keep very consistent time in any physical position relative to gravity. That hairspring is made of a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy Rolex calls Parachrom Bleu that is extremely anti-magnetic, and all of this is protected from shock on Rolex Paraflex shock absorbers. It is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, but it is more. Rolex then cases up the certified movement and tests it in 6 positions to keep time no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per 24 hours. Now you're up to speed on caliber 9002. You're probably wondering what makes it different from 9001. And based on my close reading of press materials, it seems that the main changes are the addition of Rolex's Liga-formed chronergy, ultra-efficient escapement, and also a upgrade in the aesthetics of the movement and a winding rotor that may be a little bit more sophisticated or durable around the ball bearing assembly. So aesthetics, the chronergy escapement, and possibly an upgraded ball bearing for greater security of the rotor. Now let's talk about how you operate this unusual watch. You screw out the crown, and the first position for the ring command bezel is justified all the way clockwise. Now I can manually wind in the first position, but if I pull the crown out, nothing happens. Now I turn 1 click counterclockwise. I have the ability to adjust the date and also the month of the annual calendar bidirectionally. So see how I'm jumping over here between September and August, and then over here you can see I'm doing it with the dates. That's a very cool and very durable system that's designed to be easy to use but also foolproof so you can't break it. Now we have an intermediate setting, justify 1 more click counterclockwise, and you've got the ability to set the local hour hand. Note the watch is still ticking, it's not hacked, and I can't drive the date backwards here. I can only drive the date forwards using this mode. Now, justify all the way counterclockwise. Now we activate hacking seconds, and everything moves in sync. This is actually how you'd use this. You start by adjusting the reference time in 24-hour format. You put the minute hand wherever you're going to put it. 1 more click. Now you set the hour however you want to set it. Now you set your calendar to whatever you think is appropriate. And then that final click to disable all of the setting modes, allowing you to screw the crown right back down. There is a lot to love here, and this is the latest generation of what may be Rolex's most versatile all-around watch. But you're wondering, how well luminescent is this familiar face? As you can see, it is quite well lumed. White gold hands, white gold indices, and white gold Rolex coronet logo. They will never tarnish or oxidize, and just as Rolex makes everything right down to the lubricants and the shock protection in its watches, so too does Rolex make its own ultra-bright, long-endurance, luminescent material chromalite. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Rolex Certified Pre-Owned watches are backed and authenticated by Rolex. Should any reconditioning be necessary, it will be to a Rolex Certified standard, and any parts invested, Rolex Factory Original. Should the initial retail box, paper, and accessory set still accompany the watch, it will be included with the sale. But no matter what, a Certified Pre-Owned box and paper set starts with an outer box, a leatherette travel pouch with suede lining, a warranty card that embodies the 2-year globally valid Rolex-backed warranty. Note this is not a retail warranty, but backed by Rolex and actionable at any of its authorized points of sales and service. A leatherette wallet includes the warranty terms and conditions manual. A holographic hang tag marks this as a certified pre-owned Rolex watch, and a manual details Rolex's values as a company. The certified pre-owned program, care, feeding, service, and use of your Rolex, locations of points of sales and service, and details of Rolex.com. Rolex certified pre-owned watches are backed only by Rolex.